Call the meeting to order. We respectfully acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional and ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people. Our first order of business is the election of the chair of the board for the 2016 year. Once elected, the chair of the board will assume this meeting and call for nominations for vice chair of the board. Following the election, we will carry on with the regular business of the meeting. So prior to calling for nominations, I will ask Lorna Newman and Cheryl Kors to act as scrutineers, counters in the event that a vote becomes necessary. So we'll call on you. Nominations are now in order for the position of chair of the board. On the floor.
I'd like to recommend that we keep Candace on.
Thank you. Trustee Spilsbury is nominated. Are there any other further nominations for the position of chair of the board? For a second time, are there any further nominations for the position of chair of the board? Hearing no further nominations for the position of chair of the board, the nominations are now closed and Candace Spilsbury is chair of the board.
Well, technically, you were to ask if I was going to accept the nomination. However, no, there is no asking.
We can
I
only hear your
thank you,
answer.
board, for your confidence in me. It has been an incredibly good year that we have now completed. We have done a lot. We've come to know each other and appreciate each other even more than when we first started. We have learned to operate respectfully, openly, flexibly, and to engage as much of our community, not only our school community, but the broader community as we can in our decision making. We have a very solid governance structure that we have created together, and I thank you all for that. And I look forward to our next year. We will have some challenges, but everything is an opportunity. And I really appreciate every one of you looking at our work as if it is an opportunity to do the very best we can for kids. Thank you for that. And senior staff as well, thank you. We couldn't do it without you. And of course our staff, we can't do it without you either. So thank you to everyone in our district that we're working together well. Thank you. All right, moving to vice chair. Trustee Thorne.
I'd like to nominate Barbara Duke because you guys already got something good going, and I'd like to see the team work.
Thank you, Trustee Thorne. And Trustee Groot, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. So, further nominations? Calling for the third and final time, or are there further nominations for the position of Vice Chair of the Board of Education? Okay, then I am very happy to announce that the Vice Chair is Trustee Bart Groot.
My speech is going to be what she said. Thank you very much.
Okay, so item 4, we don't need to act on. Number 5, adoption of agenda. I would ask that you would add under 10.3 item A2, adjustment to school calendar. Are there any further additions to the agenda? Looking for a mover and seconder. Moved by Trustee DeCruz, seconded by Trustee Croft. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to minutes of November 3rd, open board meeting. Moved by Trustee Dolan, seconded by Trustee Croft. Any conversation? All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving to recognition and delegations. And A, Seagull Wellness Center. And Mr. Superintendent, would you introduce this topic for us?
I think we might
Oh,
Assistant Superintendent
sorry.
Lorna Newman do that.
It's my
Perfect.
pleasure to introduce our team from the Child and Youth Mental Health and Substance Use Collaborative individuals, starting with, of course, Lisa Keller, our sponsor teacher from Seagull, and Lisa McManus, our facilitator for the Child and Youth Mental Health Wellness Center, and our student advisory individuals, Hannah and Kaylee. So they're gonna give you a little bit of information about what the Wellness Center Collaborative is all about. And they have with them, their information. Where's your?
Oh, I'm ready to go.
Oh, you're ready, okay, good. Okay, so as they're giving you information, they're going to show you some pictures about what it looks like and invite you to come out.
Except it didn't go up like you said it would.
Here, it's going now, it's
There
going
you
now.
go.
It just tipped over.
Don't panic, Alice.
Calmness.
Well, thank you for coming tonight. We're really excited to hear about this piece of ongoing collaboration in our schools. We've heard pieces, but we don't know the depth, so excited to have you here.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Well, we were already introduced,
Yeah.
that was my part, but take it away, Hannah.
Okay. Our journey into creating the Wellness Center started a year ago with an idea. Since then, it has grown into a safe environment for youth to meet and connect with multiple outside agencies, providing counseling support as well as group activities, promoting well-being. Welcome to our Wellness Center. This is a student-created bulletin board for displaying upcoming events in the center, quotes, and a place for students to show their artwork.
And this is our living room. We have where we hold group sessions. One of the group sessions that are currently taking place in this living room is Discovery's Let's Chat group, which is a group of students where they can openly discuss or connect about whatever they feel is necessary. This is our medical office, where doctors and nurses consult our patients, or youth, one would say.
It's all run on a drop-in basis. The doctor's there on Tuesdays and the health nurse on Wednesdays for drop-in students.
And this is our counseling office, where COS, Discovery, Canadian Mental Health, and Child and Youth Mental Health have currently been consulting youth periodically on schedule.
This picture is a student's project's interpretation of the council's question, what is wellness? Council was and is a process where youth and facilitators came together and presented what wellness meant to them in search of a new and unique name for the Wellness Center.
And this is a quote from a participating counselor. Knowing that there's a space that someone can go and receive counseling right away is so rare. Often the process can take weeks for something that needs to be addressed right now. This quote is a representation of the wraparound services we aspire to provide the youth we are involved with.
The next few slides are organizations that students can connect with through the center. It is astonishing how short a time it takes for wonderful things to happen. Frances Burnett.
So yeah, don't worry, be happy. That's the theme of the Wellness Center. So I was privileged to be hired as the coordinator in October. And my role is to liaison between the youth and support the youth to develop programming or, decide what kind of activities they would like happening. And then I will go out and work with different organizations to get those activities coming to the center, as well as helping the team to develop the wraparound service model. So right now we're at Siebel, but it will be opened up to the rest of the district, so very soon in 2016.
And we have monthly meetings where the youth and the outside agencies come together and we hear how are things going and what do we put on the docket for next month. How do we change and how do we grow? Are there any questions?
Trustee Hutchins?
Yeah, thank you for this and congratulations. When you said the rest of the district, are you looking at outreach or how does this touch Lake Howard, Chinook-Shamus, or Mill Bay?
We'll be getting a hold of the counselors and letting them know how youth can get connected to the center. So, and it is open to 12 to 25, so youth don't have to necessarily be attached to District 79. Of course, most of them will come through District 79. Yeah.
We did have, in our Let's Chat group last week, we had students from the Adult Ed Center and our high school, so it was nice. We had students who were 21 and 16 sharing life stories and experiences that could help each other and support in their development, so it was very nice to have that mixed blend right within our building itself.
Other questions from trustees or comments? Trustee Crowe?
Do you ever see sort of expanding kind of geographically with a satellite location or anything like that?
Well, we're very good at satellite locations, being Seabolt itself, and I think that's exactly where our next steps would be. I think one in the south end and one up at the lake, and we'd be a very happy organization, and the numbers of student and youth in need reporting to the hospital would come down dramatically if we were able to grow to that. And it certainly is in our mandate to help make it happen.
Trustee Crowe?
And so how do you gather that data to find out if hospital visits are going down and how you're impacting?
Well, it's 6 weeks in.
In the future.
In the future. We're starting to keep track. All the organizations that come will know where the youth would have gone next had they not been referred to our center. And
Yeah, and the larger collaborative is looking at that. So VIHA and NCFD they're in the moment trying to figure out how do we measure so that we can show the results. So it's in process.
And the upper level of the collaborative, they have wellness centers and different organizations across the province, and we're all trying to see how we're making a difference, and so we're sharing our numbers so that we can have a comparison.
Anything further? And I'd just like to say it's an amazing service to have that available to youth, first of all, without a referral. It's like a drop-in, and at a timely response time. I mean, I think that's just amazing to have that for our students and for others.
We appreciate the fact that the school district has given us the space that we can do that.
It's amazing.
I turned it off.
So thank you very much for coming and sharing with us. We do know we're part of a provincial initiative at one of our island trustees associations. There was a presentation on the local action planning. And so we knew something was happening, but we weren't exactly sure what it was for us. So this has been very informative, and we very much thank you, particularly our young people who have taken the lead. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us. I'm glad to share with you.
And our doors are open, and it is in three-dimensional form, much nicer to come and see. You're more than welcome to come for a tour at any time.
Thank you. We'll be there. And our second recognition and delegation is Wilkinson Road Project, and I'll hand to our superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll let David do most of the setup for this, but when I was in my previous iteration in ministry land, this conversation began, and one of my staff, Janine Hannes, came over and was worried about a change of service happening at Wilkinson Road, and the fact that the education program was at risk. Janine is a self-starter, and she went after it. Comes back to me a couple of months later, when it had been announced in my final days in the ministry that I had been moving here, and said, "So you're going to Couch, and I think you're going to have to be part of the solution." Didn't hear much again from Janine for a little bit, and then I come to Couch, and there's David and Larry going, "Guess what? I think we need to be part of the solution." And I would completely agree. The conversation has been ongoing for a little bit about how we might serve the educational needs of young men at Wilkinson Road, and went and had a visit this summer, toured the facility, saw the program, met with a number of the students, and the conversation has continued. So maybe I'll let David do a little more introduction and introduce our guests. And
Hey Glenn, it's a pleasure to be here, especially with a whole bunch of faces I know. It really eases the anxiety level. Some of you were probably starting to get a little bit nervous seeing the uniforms, especially Monroe. To continue with what Rod said, I will introduce our group in 1 second. When did we take over? We took over the educational program last April. Wilkinson Road had been kind of abandoned the previous June 2014, so they had no program, formal program, for quite a while, a number of months. There was a group of volunteers that are still there under the direction of Mr. Stephen Newton, who's a retired teacher from Parklands, who has kept his teaching qualifications current. So it's all volunteer hours right now, hundreds of volunteer hours. It's working to a certain extent. Basically, we have established a DL model there. We don't have a teacher on site. We have the inmates, the students, doing the work under the guidance of the teacher and tutors. The work is shipped up here to the Adult Learning Center, which in British Columbia runs all the correctionals. My teachers, Larry's teachers, mark the work. It's sent back. Students get to see what they're doing. They get regular report cards, and the process continues back and forth. It's not ideal, but it's working. We had 3 grads so far, 4 grads so far. So 150 students registered out of a population of about 300. So it is working, but Candace, you mentioned opportunities, and I think this is a real one. So that's all I'm going to say. This is Marna Johns. This is Scott Dempsey, the assistant warden. This is Peter Fitzpatrick, the warden. So I will let them take over and say what they need to say.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us on your tribal lands also. Good afternoon, Board of Trustees of School District 79. My name is Scott Dempsey. I'm currently the Acting Assistant Deputy Warden of Programs at the Vancouver Island Regional Correctional Center, and attending with me is Marna Johns, the Deputy Warden of Programs, and Peter Fitzpatrick, our Warden. To give a brief overview of how we came here today, it's important to understand our needs to have a full-time teacher at the Vancouver Island Regional Correctional Center. In January of 2014, VRICC, Vancouver Island Regional Correctional Center, to short it down, I'm a man of acronyms, was informed by the current school district, Victoria, we'd no longer be funding the adult basic education and they'd stop all services. The teachers' labor dispute happened prior to this date and school stopped in May of 2014. Shortly after this information was received, Deputy Warden Johns commenced talks with various different school districts in hopes of accepting a school program from one of them and commencing. This didn't happen. During this time, Literacy Victoria, who was a large volunteer program at the Vancouver Island Regional Correctional Center, lost their funding and had to pull all their volunteers and support from the building also. In January of 2015, the assistance of a young man reinitiated the literacy program and started seeking out interested volunteers at this time. 2 volunteers came forward, both with an extensive background in education. A discussion was had between a few managers about the possibility of a volunteer school starting using these 2 volunteers and other volunteers to assist in the learning. In April of this year, Larry Madden, Dave Bellis, Janine Hannes, Deputy Warden Johns, and our 2 volunteers and I met and discussed how we can move forward with a volunteer school. With this meeting over, we started school, and with the assistance of District 79, we started moving forward. Since implementation of the school in April, we have successfully graduated 4 students to date and have 3 others within a few modules of completion of their final courses and earning their Dogwood certificate. Success is measured in accomplishments, and at VRICC, this is a huge success for these men. The VRICC school currently runs Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 1:10 and then from 1:15 to 2:20. As VRICC has a diverse group, we can only give a few hours a week and support the groups, the remainder of them with literacy volunteers. Why does VRICC need a teacher? In order for the school to survive, VRCC needs to have a set schedule for our learners, more hours a day per student to attend, a teacher who can grade and give feedback to the learners in a more timely and effective manner, and of all, give the support and encouragement to these learners. A teacher is what they need. Ask what are our successes? Our biggest success is we have a dedication from our learners to change behaviors in life and achieve the Dogwood certificate. Our second success is the teamwork that has come together. This program is supported by the senior leaders, supervisors, living unit officers, and our very, very dedicated volunteers. All of these people go above and beyond as they all believe that education matters and without it, change is hard. The vision is to move forward, be able to provide more hours, increase the amount of students, maintain course completions while implementing new courses to encourage, entice, and empower learners to excel. VRICC is dedicated to forward-thinking assistance from the District 79 and the BC Technology for Learning Society. A computer lab with 10 computers and printers is in the works. This move will afford more opportunities to our learners and more course options, while also teaching some of the basic computer and typing skills, a tool that is relevant in today's world. With learners leaving custody, which have made steps towards change by completing courses and or completing the requirements for the Dogwood certificate, we have more confidence that they can change their criminal behaviors and become possible successful citizens in the communities, leading to less money spent on healthcare, police, courts, and the correctional system. With this, I ask the Board of Trustees to vote in favor of a teacher on site at VRICC Monday to Friday. A teacher at VRICC is the right choice and a solid investment in our communities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Before you leave, let me just check that there are questions or comments from
Okay.
trustees. Any questions? Trustee Hutchins?
So how long did the Victoria's School District provide that service, and then how much notice did they give?
Marna.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to that. So we had the Victoria District, although the jail's in Saanich, it was the responsibility of the Victoria District for about 8 to 9, 10 years, so a long period of time. So when I joined the jail, I have a community background, it was running smoothly. We had 2 teachers and a half EA. And they just ran along, came to the jail, there was no issue, great. The teachers loved working at the jail, loved it. And all of a sudden, I was advised at one Christmas party that that the funding was going to be cut. And so I was like, wow, I was just so surprised when they were running so smoothly and everyone was happy. So, but you know, this was it was an issue for Victoria, so that was fine. So I went to Saanich District, I've gone to Souk, I've gone to Nanaimo, you know, developed a PowerPoint presentation, and really go to all lengths because I don't know if you know, there's 2 jails on the island, Nanaimo, NCC, and ours, VRCC. But we hold all the remand population. So everyone who hasn't been sentenced yet is at our jail. So we actually have offenders from the whole island, you know, at our jail. So it's not just Victoria releases, we've got them all. And we have 27% of Aboriginal people at our jail. And we know that they struggle through the school system. And the fact that they're working together, they don't feel so vulnerable because they're learning together. And so we see just a wonderful event to see someone with the hat, you know, we have the cap and gown, the whole, you know, wonderful process we have when people graduate and get the Dogwood. It's really amazing to see, very impactful. So we're just here to, you know, sort of supplement our volunteers because these are like amazing people. I mean, these people come in, but we just need some help just to supplement. I mean, we're not asking for 2.5 like we used to. We're just asking for 1.
Could you just tell us what age groups?
18 and up.
18 and up. Yeah. All adults. Thank
All
you.
adult offenders.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, another thing, there are 9 jails in the province, and all the jails do have a teacher from the district. So when I go on my programs call, this has been since the spring of 2014, I haven't had a teacher, and every jail in the province has 1 or more teachers in them. We're the only ones.
Thank you. Trustee Hutchins?
So in terms of the process, are you students registered as a student in the school district, and so when they receive their Dogwood, it is from that school district?
Yes. So we have the Cowichan District 79 registration form that we have altered to meet the needs of the adult learning it's filled out at the center and it's sent up to Dave and the administration staff up here, and they're registered through District 79.
They're all couch and adult learning center students.
So they get, their diploma and to take with them when they leave the jail, and it says the district on it, so nothing to do with the jail. So, and also we also assist them when they get released, so we have a connection to the community, so when they get out of jail, because our centers are pretty short, so they can continue that in the community, so we encourage them to continue and hook them up.
Suggestions?
So are they mostly taking the adult dogwood, or are they actually taking the full dog?
The adult dogwood.
So that adult dogwood requires a senior English and a senior math. So does Victoria, do they provide a single teacher to provide that diversified curriculum, or?
Before we had 2 teachers, and one of the fellows was sort of, especially was in math, because we know that's important. The other ones, we had the complement of both. So it is a struggle for sure, I know, because we have the 2, and one teacher may have more strengths on the area than others.
Thank you.
Did I correctly hear that there was 150 students registered? Is that what I
Yes.
heard? Okay, and that would be registered for a program or a course?
Both.
And we've learned so much, because we're jail people, we didn't know anything about the district, the school, these fundable credits, and
Yes.
we really
alternative.
We have had a business model discussion with them.
Like Plan 12 equals some of our other things that we do, like we have this ESS, Essential Skills for Learning, is comparable to Planning 12. So, and Janine has been like unbelievable woman who's really educated ourselves. And so other things that are happening in the jail are actually equivalent to some other credits. So it's been, it's been quite a process. So I think we're there though. We feel pretty confident with Janine's help and Dave's help that we can make it.
The warden just has one quick.
I just had a couple of comments I wanted to make. As the warden at the facility, I am extremely supportive of the excellent work. And if we need to get our enrollment to the level it needs to get, that they will have my full support. And I'm very confident we can do that. And we did have some discussions about some of the mechanics of the business model. I've been in the crime business. You guys are in the education business. You're all very passionate about what you do. That's why you're here. We're in the crime business, and I have 30 years in, plus 7 years academically before I started. And of all I've learned in that time, just sort of to connect the dots between the criminal world and the sort of the education world, is there's very few things that really have a profound change on people's lives and their ability to change. One is simply getting older, because crime's a young man's game, basically, although we are an aging population. The other is getting married and settle down and getting a good job, okay, which is often difficult for some of these folks. But the third one is getting a high school leaving certificate in where I'm come from, back east, secondary 5, or a dogwood, as you call it out here. That is one of those top 3 or 4 things. Very few things that have such a profound impact. So to connect the dots, for someone to come into our system and leave with a high school leaving certificate that they might have taken 20 years to get, really changes lives, opens doors. They can go to community college, they can go into the military, well, perhaps they have to do something about their criminal record and the pardon, but there's so many doors that can open just with that one certificate. So if you want to know why we're here, we're in the crime business and to contribute to public safety, and that's probably one of the top 3 things that really changes people's lives. So I wanted to make sure I got that in there to support the good work that our staff are doing.
Thank you. Anything else? Our superintendent would like to.
I just wonder, because I see Glenn sitting here, if you want to talk a little bit about sort of the computers for schools that you mentioned.
Oh.
Scott, about having, it's sort of a new idea of having inmates working on laptops. If you can talk a little bit about that piece.
It's one piece that we've taken out of the inmates that the learners have asked us is a lot of them don't know how to use a computer. They don't know basic keyboarding. They don't know where to find the semicolon, where to find the colon, how to shift, how to do basic print functions and everything else. Those little things that when they go to the Canada Employment Office or the BC employment areas, they go in and they have to sit down and fill out and do a resume on a computer. They're lost, they walk out the door. So with that thinking, we started talking about education with computers, and then of course it came up with the BC Technology Society, who has willing to donate some equipment. We had 10 computers that we had in the building that we have brought up here that were, I think they were already, Glenn, they were already semi-set up with the wipe system and everything else, and switching. And this is, we'll have a mainframe or a server which will feed 10 computers with all the learning. So the learner can sit down, do the courses. We'll call it online, but not really online, because jails aren't allowed to go onto the internet. Inmates are not allowed to have internet access. So it'll be all, whatever we download onto this server from the adult basic education model, they'll be able to go, which should increase some more of our learning. Which will
It starts to feel a little bit more like an online environment for them.
Yeah,
I guess they get some
exactly.
skills of navigating an online environment, although set up in a cloud that, and so on that.
And word
Yeah.
processing
that Glenn's been
capability
working on.
too.
So part of the moving forward, the commitment was, of course, we had to go to headquarters and ask and push to bring computers to a school, with people going, what are you talking about? No, no. Why? So this is our commitment to moving forward, to opportunities, and to help assist with the change.
And we can get more enrollment, and quite frankly, adults learn differently, everyone learns differently, and a lot of folks would be more amenable to an online format. So we can get more enrollment and more modules and courses delivered in this format. It just opens a lot of doors.
I think another
wonderful.
piece of really important information is this, is we started off in April with 4 volunteers. As of yesterday, we have 19.
So, and the other thing, there's no risk. I mean, the teachers are being there at the schools, the learners love being there. They respect the teachers. I mean, there's no issue when they're down there at all in regards to our teachers. And like I say, the teachers who left, in tears.
Well, thank you. I can really hear your passion, that's for sure, and that's something we respond to. You know, we've been certainly versed in the heart and mind, and we can certainly feel the heart, and we have the mind connecting in terms of education is so important. Mr. Hutchins?
Sorry, so as a provincial facility, you're under the Solicitor General, is that who?
Ministry of Justice.
Ministry of Justice, okay, thank you.
Any further questions? So this is something that I think we're going to need to have our staff look at and give us the implications and the recommendation for us to move forward or to work with you in a different way, sure. But certainly it's of interest to us, and we are valuing the fact that you've come over the Malahat to search out a group that would be compatible for your clientele. So really appreciate you coming up today and explaining to us. We will refer it to our staff for further information, and we'll certainly get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving back to the agenda report. Sorry?
I'd like to move your
Trustee
motion.
Pardon?
I'd like to move your motion to refer to the staff report on potential partnership.
Okay, moved by Trustee Hutchins, second by Trustee DeGroot. Any conversation on this? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Moving to report of closed meetings. Mr. Sandquist.
Thank you. Prior to this meeting, the board held a closed meeting. At that meeting, the sale of a surplus portable was approved and facility utilization issues were discussed.
Thank you. Moving to item 9, old business. First is action list. So let's take a quick review of that and see if there's any questions or comments. Mr. Allen, did you want to tell us about the day of change? I know you have a brief
Ish. Believe we have landed on the day. We're down to 2, and looking at specific busing costs for those days.
Yeah, so we don't decide they're gonna be April 15th or April 22nd. It will probably start at around 9:30 and end at around 1:30 at the Duncan Theatre. And so we're just there in the process of fundraising and then looking to see what they're able to manage.
The exact costs depend on exactly which day and that's all.
How many buses?
We're already meeting with our transportation staff and working through that. Closer estimate.
Thank you. And you'll notice from October the 6th through November the 3rd, everything is completed. So, thank you, staff. We're moving on quickly. Any further comments or questions? The action list? Okay. Moving back to the agenda, Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Allen.
You're moving way too fast again. A couple of things that I'd like to update you on. Kelsey had a transformed day on November 27th, where students were able to sort of choose their own path really on that day and look at the post-secondary opportunities, careers, and various interests. There we go, and you can see some pictures from that. One of the grade 8 students had an autonomy day, which was really like a maker day, where they get to plan to physically build something that interests them. Grade 9 students had a Take Our Kids to Work day where they job shadowed parents. Grade 10 students had a field trip to Camosun College, and grade 11 and 12 students had university and college presentations on site about possibilities for them. So a really interesting day at Kelsey. Staying with the Kelsey theme, November 19th, as many of you know, there was a celebration held for the opening of Francis Kelsey's secondary community path, named for their previous principal, Marilyn Sanford. Great event. 2 more Code Red drills last month as we're moving our schools through those Code Red processes. It was Francis Kelsey and on Maple Bay. And I believe just to make things fun at Kelsey, that was held on the day of the early dismissal. Yeah. So.
It also gives staff time to break together after, during, and dismissal session.
So each of those Code Reds that we've been doing around the district have been great opportunities for learning, for kids to see things in. It kind of heightens. It's not just another 5-year-old will wander off into the parking lot. It feels quite real, and the RCMP have been great partners and working with their schools. Chemanis Elementary had the Capitals visit, and as you know, John Abbott was here. He had an opportunity to meet with the board. He also met with principals and vice principals, a group of students, and I think we had, all of us felt the impact of having John here again, letting us know what he's thinking and how he's thinking, and challenging us to get busy, which is great. John has made it back home. It's a long flight from John by himself. Syrian refugees is part B. And just to let you know that on November 23rd, the assistant superintendents and Jason met with a local community group to be thinking about our preparation collectively in the district and in the valley for refugees. We're anticipating at this point up to 10 families of around 60 individuals. There is medical capacity to deal with them, and there is short-term housing options available. We're now working with them to identify, and we have identified space in our schools, where we have space in our schools, to begin thinking more carefully about placement of those students. And again, unfortunately, as you know, it doesn't mean we have a whole lot of space in one or two schools. We have bits of space in lots of schools, and so that's the challenge of something happening mid-year like this, is how do we make sure that we have, deal with those as carefully as possible is how we think about space, but space is where it is. So we're fully engaged in that conversation with the community. Survey around parent-teacher conversations went out this afternoon. You should have all received an email about that this afternoon with a link to the parent survey. There's 3 surveys that are happening. They're all very, very closely connected, and we've worked really well with the CBTF to ensure those questions are answering the questions that we want answered. And will give us the right information to decide how we move forward with this. So there is a principal and vice principal version, there is a teacher version, and there is a parent version. All very, very similar. So you've got a link that went out this afternoon to the parent version. We're hoping we're asking for those surveys to be completed on Monday, by Monday, and paper copies will also be going out to some schools that requested that, and as needed as well. So SurveyMonkey plus paper. And we should have those results next week. Begin to collate those results. If we have 1,000 results, it'll take us longer. If we have 10, it'll be easier to collate. So we'll see what.
Just ask for clarification, when you said the survey is going out, do you mean on the website?
It's on the website.
Okay.
It will also go out. It's also gone out to principal, vice principals to make their parents aware of the links to it. Yeah.
But the primary collection is the SurveyMonkey on the website?
SurveyMonkey on the website for parents. That's the primary place that they will be responding to.
Thank you. Trustee Crock?
I have one comment and one question. Just on the code reds, I had occasion at the CSAC meeting, the RCMP were there, and as an organization, they value the opportunity to connect with the schools, I think just as much as Rod was saying, that the RCMP are very a pleasure to work with. So code red, not the best thing in the world to have to practice, but the actual connections and the relationships being built are super positive. I had a question regarding Syrian refugees. I know it's hard to predict the future, but any thoughts on preparing for some of the specific needs that may be coming along with those kids and those families that come from a pretty traumatic situation? How do we think about preparing for that?
Certainly we as a community as well are thinking about that, what those community response needs to be. It's not just about school, and we don't know ages, grades. Needs of a 15-year-old would be quite different than needs of a 6-year-old. It's something we're certainly having the conversations about internally about, are we ready? And again, it also depends on where they are, so there's still lots of questions that will stretch our capacity.
One more question.
Just a comment, just so you're aware, I am working with the Intercultural Society with the refugee programs. We are looking at getting interpreters. What they were concerned with was finding the space at some of the schools for the education portions. It takes 5 people, $30,000 for a family, and we decided to go under the umbrella with the Intercultural Society. So if you have any concerns, we're working with Lynn Weaver. So I just wanted to update you because I know I haven't said anything, but I have been very, very involved.
Thank you. Back to you, Mr.
I think that's all for that.
Okay, take us into board action.
Board action, 10.3A. We have a field trip that we're seeking final approval on. It's been before you once already, cultural field trip to Quebec City, February 11th to the 15th. I'm recommending approval.
Moved by trustee DeGroote, seconded by trustee Thorne. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
How many
Trustee-
students would be attending that?
Mr. Superintendent?
34 students.
Nice.
Moving to item B, adjustment to school calendar.
Yes. And you have a late addition in front of you. We have been meeting actively with the union to CBTF to identify the timing around these. As you're aware, the ministry altered the number of instructional hours in this current school year to create 10 hours of time for teachers and districts to work on the sort of curriculum implementation support time. It has a sole focus, and that is helping teachers and everyone understand the implications of new curriculum and to deal with those. It's up to, according to the rules of engagement, that's the first part is the scheduling of the time, and that's to be done together with the CBTF. We've had those meetings, and you see in front of you the chosen dates. Our determination is to do it, and districts are doing it in a variety of ways. Some are holding 2 full days of time, others are doing it in half days, others are splitting them up into smaller chunks. What we felt best worked for us was 4 half days. And so you see those dates in front of you, beginning January 20th. So we'd be having a dismissal essentially at lunchtime to be able to bring those teachers together over those four periods of time. Doing this is not an option, or not doing this is not an option. It's a great thing. It's a gift to have that time and to be working collaboratively with our union partners to figure out how we're going to be prepared for that. We would like to put this out so that we give our parents lots of notice, because we know Christmas and there's lots of, certainly within 30 days, but a notice period, but it's still, there's lots of noise within that 30 days, so we would like to put this forward so you have a recommendation, a recommended resolution.
Moved by trustee DeGroot, seconded by trustee Coggins. Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving to item 11, Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Swankus.
Thank you. Under 11.2, board information, winter vacation board office closure. Traditionally, our board office closes for the 2 weeks of the winter break, and this year that is December 21st to January 1st. So just to let everybody know that will be happening again this year. Item 11.2B, school board office hours. Over time, the majority of the staff in the school board office have started work between 8 and 4, so most of our postings now are 8 to 4 for our unionized staff, and that leaves a period in the morning when the board office is closed between 8 and 8:30 currently, where we're finding that period has more demand on it, people waiting outside to come into the office than the 4 o'clock to 4:30 slot. So we're looking at changing the board office hours starting in January to 8 to 4 to align to when people work and when we think people are actually needing our services. So that is for information. Moving to 11.3 for board action, we won't require 11.3A tonight, as we haven't had a change in board chair and vice chair. Moving on to item B is the Paulson Elementary upgrade. So under the routine capital program, the district submitted a proposal for an envelope efficiency upgrade at Paulson Elementary. So what that means is new windows and insulation and siding. That project is to be completed by March 31st of 2016, so we have a very short time window on access to that funding, which is why we'll ask for 3 readings at this meeting so we can pursue the project without any delay. So before you is the motion to, there is the recommendation that the Board of Education gives first reading of Capital Bylaw 127028, envelope efficiency upgrade, Paulson Elementary.
Moved by trustee DeGroot, seconded by trustee Thorne. All those in favor? Motion carries. Moving.
We have a second reading of the same capital bylaw, please?
Moved by trustee Hutchins, seconded by trustee Yeoman. All those in favor, motion carries.
Madam Chair,
Trustee Hutchins?
any chance of throwing in a couple of classroom sinks as we do this project?
Out of order?
You
may bring it back again later.
If they're gonna
Right
be
now?
frothing, maybe.
Right now? Okay, moving to the next one.
That the Board of Education considers 3 readings of capital bylaw 127028 envelope efficiency upgrade to Paulson Elementary at this meeting.
Moved by trustee DeGroot, seconded by trustee Croft. All those in favor? Motion carries. And final motion?
Thank you. The Board of Education gives third and final reading of capital bylaw number 127028 envelope efficiency upgrade Paulson Elementary.
Moved by trustee Dolan, seconded by trustee DeGroot. All those in favor? Motion carries. Trustee Hutchins, were you wanting to bring anything onto the table, or are you done for now? Okay, thank you. That was a little rude of me, sorry. Okay, moving to item C, 2016 budget consultation plan, and the background papers on page 16. This is the plan that was brought forward last time and was panned by the board and referred to the retreat. And after that, we brought the idea of budget consultation for this year to the advisory committee. So it combines all of the input that we've had. So basically the plan would look like senior staff prepares a document that outlines clear messages of the education and financial status with budget values and principles, so that everyone has a document that we can refer to, not only trustees, but senior staff, partner groups, principals, whoever is speaking about this. It would be developed as a PowerPoint and be put on the website and be also used for a public meeting, and it would be updated as we get new information. The website would be our main source to get feedback through SurveyMonkey, but we'd also have school newsletters having similar content, but obviously not a PowerPoint, but something adjusted so that people could read print if technology was unavailable. And then the fourth is trustee liaisons would talk to whoever their liaison people are to give information and seek feedback. And in addition, we would ask the trustee liaisons for secondary schools to meet with the secondary leadership or student council groups in that school, as was suggested by our DSAC reps. So the timelines would look like this. In January, we'd give notice that we're going through this. In February, we would have that information up and running. March 31st is a date that we chose just looking at our calendars with a public meeting from 5 to 6 in our annex. We don't anticipate that we would have a large number coming out. And the annex gives us the fallback position that if there are a number, then we can move to Quamachen. And in April, we would have all the feedback in from SurveyMonkey, school newsletter liaisons, school newsletters and trustee liaisons. So the recommendation is that the budget consultation 2016 plan and timelines be approved by the Board of Education, and I will move that. If I would have a secondary, trustee Croft. Thank you. Discussion, trustee Hutchins.
Yeah, I'd like us to move an amendment to March 31st, 2016 public meeting, and I appreciate, based on our last experience last spring, that is appropriate location and time, but just on a chance that may be different this year, I'm wondering if we could just add the line subject, the time of date and location subject, time and date, time of day and location subject to change. So if we get a tremendous amount of feedback and interest, Anybody reading this knows that it could be a change. So I'd like to move that we just amend this to add the words after school board annex, time of day and location subject to change.
Amendment moved by trustee Hutchins, seconded by trustee DeGroot. Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor? Motion carries. Back to the main motion then.
Move as amended.
Okay, moved by trustee Hutchins, seconded by trustee DeGroot. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, back to the main agenda. We're under committees and outside organizations, minutes of October 15, DPAC. Anything, trustee Norman?
I'd like to move that we accept the minutes.
Receive the minutes. Moved by trustee Dorman, seconded by trustee Thorne. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Moving to minutes of the BEBC meeting.
Move that the minutes of the October 27th BEB meeting be received.
Moved by trustee DeGroot, seconded by trustee Thorne. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Highlights of the November 12th, 2015 TSAC meeting. I'm not sure. Was there a trustee in attendance? Okay.
Trustee Schmidt.
Yeah, trustee Schmidt.
Oh,
Trustee Thorne?
I was there.
Okay, so.
Move to accept.
Okay, moved by trustee Thorne, seconded by trustee DeGroot. Any comments? All those in favor? Motion carries. Advisory committee meeting. Most of us were there.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Hutchins, seconded by trustee Thorne. All those in favor? Motion carries. Business arising from the November 24th BEBC meeting. Trustee DeGroot.
The Board of Education Business Committee recommends that the Board of Education adopt policy 3545, physical restraint and seclusion of students as amended.
Moved by trustee DeGroot, seconded by trustee Hutchins. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Trustee DeGroot.
That Board of Education and Business Committee recommends that the Board of Education adopt policy 5100, district code of conduct as amended.
Moved by trustee DeGroot, seconded by trustee Crawford. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving to item 13, upcoming meetings and events on page 4142. So, any comments? So I would just suggest to trustees that we will receive invitations to the three celebrations at the bottom, and hopefully there will be some trustee representation at each of them. Trustee Hutchins?
I'm sorry, the last one to do with the breakfast. Didn't we help make that with senior staff?
We did in the past, but they don't need us anymore.
They don't want us.
You know, oh, pardon me.
I like our cooking.
No. They say they have it under control and just be there if we can.
Right.
Invitation, yeah. Would you like to bring something special?
Well,
Besides
We
yourself?
can find tasks for you.
Yes.
We'll fill you in.
Now, let me take that back a wee bit. They would like us to help serve and greet and be hosts.
So when do we show our hospitality to those workers?
At the breakfast, you mean?
Yeah. Those people
That are cooking and things? I don't know.
My mother would say, just eat heartily. I mean, look what I turned out like.
If you have an idea, we could entertain that, otherwise.
Well, if it's all in place, maybe we
Fantastic.
should work on that for next year.
Okay. Anything else on the meeting schedule? Okay, moving back, no correspondence, new business, A, board book club. Mr. Hutchins.
Yes, I found the Academy this year an exceptional learning experience, and I think that most of the people I talked to also found an exceptional learning experience. We heard from a variety of speakers about educational change or transformation, and also I heard many times that we have one of the best education systems in the world, but there's a time to move on and make it even better. And it was interesting to find, and it's not very natural for the speakers to speak of books that speak to the changes that are necessary and allowing us to keep pace with the changes in the world. And so it came to me that perhaps we should demonstrate the learning by collectively establishing a book club. And it does a lot of different things. It creates a community of learners among the board here, but also allow us to understand the language of our new superintendent and senior staff. So I sent my resolution to the board chair, who kindly made some amendment to it, so I'll read the amended version. That the Board of Education establish a monthly book club that will see, A, list of 10 book titles on education transformation generated in advance by staff. B, trustees and participating senior staff, maybe even Monroe, will be part of this, reading the book of the month. C, a sharing of teaching learnings of the book at our monthly business and education meeting. And D, a planned redistribution of the books read to school staffs and or partners in education. So I'd like to move that for the board's consideration.
Moved by trustee Hutchins, seconded by trustee DeGroot. Conversation around this? Okay. Trustee Croft?
I think if I can check, can the individual board members contribute to the list as well?
Absolutely.
Apparently not.
That's a very good point.
Well, I'm just thinking.
I think it can, but I thought that if staff could actually generate a list in advance so we know what's coming and other people in the community may know what's coming.
But we're not precluded.
We can co-construct the list.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Any other conversation around the idea of a book club for us?
And the
with,
key is
with
you can't
staff.
watch the movie and pretend you read the book.
Because I'm pretty sure they haven't been made.
Okay, anything further to discuss on this idea? Okay, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And I'd ask maybe if you two could maybe decide on anything further that needs to be put in operation. Okay, thank you. All right, moving to question period.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. You have a date wrong on your list of concerts that I thought you might need to know about.
Okay.
The Driftwater concert is actually on the 16th, not the 14th.
Okay, thank you. Anything further on questions? Right, well, thank you. Motion, Denise has a question? Yes?
I just couldn't find the dates that in reference to the calendar changes to the calendar.
The ones that we passed tonight?
Yeah, I can't find
Pass
it in
that
the.
here?
May not have hit yet. Today. That was today.
Okay, for the third and final time, any further questions? No. Motion to adjourn, trustee DeGroot and trustee Croft. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.